guys, and welcome back to yet another video. And in this video I'm going to be giving you 10 effective tips to help you astral project tonight. And inducing out-of-body experiences at will is a skill that anybody can learn, and with these tips it should make the process a little bit quicker and easier for you to have your experience. Tip number 1. Meditate for at least 5 to 10 minutes every single day. Meditation is amazing for helping us induce lucid dreams and out-of-body experiences because it helps us create an inner awareness. It helps us clear our thoughts and build an awareness, and it really helps when trying to put the body to sleep to induce an out-of-body experience. When we're inducing an out-of-body experience, we really need to hover between being awake and asleep. There's a very fine line that we need to be able to ride when inducing an out-of-body experience, and meditation helps us build this awareness and calm the body at the same time, which is perfect for the mind awake, body asleep state that we want to access when inducing an out-of-body experience. So if you can, try to meditate for at least 5 to 10 minutes a day, and I found that doing this before bed is the most effective. Tip number 2, drinking mugwort tea before bed. Drinking mugwort tea before bed is really nice because it really helps calm the mind, calm the thoughts, relax the body, and it helps us enter this trance-like state a lot quicker. I've noticed that it has also helped me induce hypnagogic imagery a lot quicker, which is the visuals or the colors that you see flashing behind your closed eyes when you're going to sleep. You can actually use that state to anchor an out-of-body experience, and you can also induce hypnagogic imagery after you wake up for a technique, after 4 to 6 hours, whenever you decide to wake up. But I found that mugwort tea helps induce this trance-like state a lot quicker. I just drink a cup of mugwort tea before bed while I'm reading or something, and I've noticed that it helps me glide into sleep a lot quicker, but with more awareness. Tip number 3, don't smoke cannabis. Now, if you're someone that smokes cannabis or uses cannabis products, this could be getting in the way of inducing an out-of-body experience. Smoking cannabis or using cannabis products really relaxes the mind and the body, and it makes it harder to stay awake during techniques or to induce an out-of-body experience. It also suppresses REM sleep or rapid eye movement sleep, and this is the stage in which we experience sleep paralysis and dream. And usually we want to wake up during REM to induce an out-of-body experience, but if we have been smoking and we are in what's called our addiction cycle, which means we've been consistently smoking for at least a couple days, then we're probably not going to be able to get into the right stage of sleep, and we might just fall asleep or not have enough awareness to be able to get out of body. So if you're someone that smokes cannabis or uses cannabis products, I would recommend taking a short break while you try to induce an out-of-body experience, or really cutting back. But it is best to take a break for at least a couple weeks to 30 days, but you can kind of mess around with this to give yourself enough time to learn how to induce an out-of-body experience. But as long as you're out of the addiction cycle, which means you break up the days that you use those THC products, it does give you a higher chance to be able to induce an out-of-body experience because you'll experience what's called REM rebound. REM rebound happens after you've been using a substance that has suppressed your REM dreaming sleep and you stop using that substance. What happens then is you get all of the dreaming and REM sleep that you missed out on while using that substance, but you get it back all at once. So if you've been smoking weed for the past couple months or something and you decide to take a break for a couple weeks, you'll notice a few days after you stop using cannabis or cannabis products, your dreams will start to get really vivid and really clear. So that would be a good time to try to induce an out-of-body experience while you have that REM. Tip number 4. Go to bed at least 30 to 60 minutes early. I noticed that if I go to bed at least 30 to 60 minutes early, I have clearer dreams that are more vivid, and I feel a little bit more aware as I'm drifting off into sleep. This really comes in handy when inducing an out-of-body experience because you want to put your body asleep while your mind stays awake. So if you go to bed a little bit earlier than you're used to, your mind will be a little bit more active, but you'll be able to carry that awareness into sleep. Tip number 5, wake up after 6 hours of sleep to meditate on your back. 6 hours after you go to sleep is when one of your longest REM periods are. So if you wake up directly out of a dream or you wake up 6 hours after sleep, there's a really good chance that you are in REM and you can use that to induce an out-of-body experience. All you'll want to do for that is to set your alarm to wake you up after 6 hours of sleep. Keep in mind, if it takes you 30 minutes to fall asleep, you want to set your alarm for 6 hours 30 minutes because we want to be able to target that REM period correctly. Once your alarm wakes you up after 6 hours of sleep, you want to stay up for a couple minutes and then you want to lay on your back and meditate. As you're meditating, eventually you're going to reach this trance-like state and you're going to start to see dream images and colors. This means that you're really close to inducing the vibrational state, which happens right before you have an out-of-body experience. As you're starting to see these images and colors, just kind of pay attention to them and notice them, but don't try to change them too much. The most important thing here is that you keep your mind awake, and if you hold still and you just relax, your body will fall asleep, and then you'll be able to enter the vibrational state, which you can use to induce an out-of-body experience. Tip number 6, don't eat heavy meals before bed. If you eat a heavy meal right before you go to bed, your body is going to spend all of its energy trying to digest the food, and you probably won't really remember many dreams either. Our body only has one energy source, and digesting food takes up so much energy, and that's why we get super tired after we eat big meals. And it is good for your body to be tired when you're going to bed, but this also takes the energy from the awareness that we need to induce an out-of-body experience. So I'd either have a really light meal or try not to eat anything 2 hours before bed. Tip number 7, sleep in a dark room or wear a sleeping mask. This one is really helpful because if there is sunshine or light coming into our closed eyes, our brain is going to think it's actually time to wake up, and it will start to stimulate the brain and wake our body up, and it will actually be harder to have an out-of-body experience. So what I'd recommend is either blacking out your room with, heavy blinds, or just wearing a sleeping mask when you're going to bed, or at least when you're doing a technique if you have one that you want to use. This also helps the body produce natural melatonin and put the body to sleep quicker. You'll also notice that it helps you see hypnagogic imagery, or those flashing colors and swirls of colors as you're falling asleep, a lot easier, and you can actually use those to anchor a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience. Tip number 8, practice visualization as you fall asleep. This one is really powerful. This one's actually called the target technique, and if you do this correctly and you use a lot of visualization and imagine the sensation of being somewhere else, you can actually use that to induce an instant out-of-body experience. What you want to do as you're falling asleep is just imagine being somewhere else, doing something else. You can imagine that you're walking along the beach, you can imagine that you're doing the dishes in another room, you can imagine that you're taking a walk at the park or maybe going on a roller coaster. The main thing you want to do is as vividly as you can, imagine being somewhere else, doing an activity or an action that your body is not physically doing. Your brain cannot tell the difference between something you're imagining and something that is actually happening. So eventually, if you use a lot of visualization and imagine the full sensation of doing that thing somewhere else, your brain will start to think it's actually happening, and your perception will actually switch from where your physical body is to the imagination or the thing that you're creating in your mind. So let's say that you're imagining that you're at the beach and you're just walking down the coast. What's everything that you would hear? What's everything that you would see? What would you smell? What would you feel? You want to create that so vividly in your mind to the point where you actually almost convince yourself that you're at that location doing that specific thing. Eventually, you'll actually start to hear the ocean and feel the sun on your face and physically feel all of the sensations of being there. And that's how you can trick your brain into thinking that you're actually there, and then all of a sudden, from your closed eyes, all of a sudden this vision will open up and you're actually at the beach or at the location that you were imagining. So it's taking a visualization and literally bringing it into your perception, your awareness, and making it your reality. That's what it feels like, and it is a very vivid experience. This may take a couple times, but this is one of the most efficient ways to have an out-of-body experience. As we've talked about on this channel, one of the keys to having an out-of-body experience is visualization and sensation. Visualizing so vividly that you're somewhere else, doing something else, and really feeling the sensations of doing that. And that's how we can switch our perception from our physical body into our imagination or our energy body. Tip number 9, exercise before bed. Exercising before bed is really helpful for even insomnia because it helps with the restlessness. It helps our body actually want to rest, and it helps us induce that heavy, relaxed feeling that we need to have an out-of-body experience. Sometimes our body will just toss and turn in bed, or we won't be able to sleep if our mind and our body is too active. So working out right before bed really helps with that. I just do yoga for like 20 to 30 minutes and I tire the body out, and then that way my body's ready to sleep, but I can keep my mind awake during my technique. Tip number 10, take in a lot of information about astral projection. You want to saturate your mind with the thought and the idea of having an out-of-body experience, and that helps make it more likely that you'll actually have an out-of-body experience. Watch people's experiences on YouTube. Maybe you can read a book about out-of-body experiences, or maybe you can even write in your journal what you want to do when you have your out-of-body experience. And if you're wanting to read a book about out-of-body experiences, I definitely recommend Journeys Out of the Body from Robert Monroe. This is basically a book full of his journal entries from when he started having his out-of-body experiences spontaneously and his whole journey figuring out what it even was that he was experiencing. And he's been able to master this, and if you've heard of the Monroe Institute, that was founded by Robert Monroe. You want to get excited about out-of-body experiences and saturate your mind with the thought of having out-of-body experiences. So reading a book or watching someone's experience on it and just hearing about other people's experiences will make it more likely that you'll have one as well. And I just wanted to let you guys know that from now until September 11th, if you sign up for Beyond Lucidity, my astral travel course, you will also receive unlimited lifetime access to my 40-part lucid dreaming course, The Ultimate Guide to Lucid Dreaming, completely free. So if you're interested in signing up for Beyond Lucidity and getting my full 40-part lucid dreaming video course for free, check out the link in the description or the comments below. Alright guys, and that is all for this video. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that these tips help you in your out-of-body experiences, and please let me know down in the comments if you have any personal tips for inducing out-of-body experiences that you think we should add to this list. Please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. As always, I'm sending you endless love and endless lucidity.